The hum of hairdryers filled the salon as Emma Collins adjusted her apron and prepared for her next client. It was a rainy afternoon, and business was slow, exactly how she liked it. She'd always enjoyed the quieter days, where she could take her time and focus on the details of her work. But today, something felt different. As she swept hair clippings off the floor, she caught a glimpse of a man through the window, a veteran she'd seen sitting on the corner for weeks, looking more downcast with each passing day. His clothes were tattered, and his face was hidden beneath a mess of unkempt hair. Without thinking, Emma opened the door and called out to him. "Hey, sir, would you like a haircut? It's on the house." The veteran looked up, surprised, as if he couldn't believe she was speaking to him. He hesitated, then nodded, his eyes misty with gratitude. "Thank you, ma'am. I haven't had a proper haircut in years." Emma guided him into the salon chair, noticing the way the other stylists glanced at her, some with raised eyebrows. She ignored them, focusing instead on the man before her. As she snipped away at his hair, he told her bits and pieces of his story, how he'd served overseas, how he'd come back to a life that no longer fit him. She listened, offering a kind word here and there, trying to make him feel like he mattered. By the time she finished, he looked like a new man, the weariness still in his eyes but his face brighter, his shoulders a little straighter. Just as Tom was about to leave, Mr. Anderson, the salon's owner, stormed over, his face flushed with anger. "Emma, what the hell do you think you're doing?" he snapped, his voice loud enough for the entire salon to hear. Emma took a deep breath, turning to face him. "I was just helping. You know our policy. No free services." Mr. Anderson cut her off, his eyes flashing with fury. "You're fired. Pack up your things and get out." Tom tried to intervene, but Emma shook her head, forcing a smile. "It's all right. You don't owe me anything." She gathered her belongings, her heart pounding as she walked out of the salon, the rain soaking her as she stepped onto the street. But as she walked away, she had no idea that her simple act of kindness was about to set off a chain of events that would change everything. 30 minutes later, a sleek black car pulled up outside the salon. Emma looked back over her shoulder just in time to see the mayor step out, his expression unreadable. She paused, wondering what he could possibly want. "Certainly." Here's the continuation of the story, focusing on how the tension builds between Emma, the salon owner, and the surprising intervention by Mayor Lawson. Each chapter will maintain the story's pace, incorporating twists and emotional moments to keep readers engaged. Emma barely had time to catch her breath before she saw Mayor Lawson stride toward the salon's entrance. He cut a striking figure, tall, with a confident air about him that made people take notice. She couldn't imagine why he'd be here, especially in the middle of the storm. Curiosity tugged at her, but she kept walking, not wanting to be caught up in another confrontation. But then she heard him call out her name. "Miss Collins, a moment, please." Emma froze, turning slowly to face him. The mayor's voice carried through the rain, drawing the attention of a few onlookers who lingered nearby, curious about what was happening. She glanced at the soaked cardboard box in her arms, holding the few belongings she'd taken from the salon. Yes, Mr. Mayor," she stammered, unsure what to expect. Mayor Lawson smiled warmly, the kind of smile that held more weight than mere politeness. "I heard about what happened in there, how you helped that veteran. I want you to know that your kindness hasn't gone unnoticed." Before Emma could respond, Mr. Anderson stormed out of the salon, his face flushed with frustration. "What's this about, Mayor? This is a private business matter, none of your concern." The mayor's expression cooled, and he turned to face Mr. Anderson. "I'd say it's very much my concern when a citizen who shows compassion is punished for it. We're a community that looks after each other, aren't we?" Mr. Anderson scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "She broke company policy. That veteran, he wasn't a paying customer, and I can't just let that slide no matter what sob story he has." The mayor's gaze sharpened and his voice dropped to a low, stern tone that made Mr. Anderson flinch. Well, Mr. Anderson, I happen to think that the people of this town have more heart than that. I'll make sure they know exactly why you fired Miss Collins and how she was just trying to help someone in need." Emma's heart pounded in her chest. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. She hadn't expected anyone to defend her, let alone the mayor. Mr. Anderson glared, but Emma could see the doubt creeping into his eyes. Mayor Lawson turned back to her, his expression softening. "Miss Collins, if you're not too busy, I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee. There's something I think we should discuss." Emma hesitated, wondering what the mayor could possibly want from her. But with nothing to lose, she nodded. "All right, Mr. Mayor, let's talk." Inside the cozy warmth of a nearby cafe, the mayor and Emma settled into a booth. She wrapped her hands around the steaming cup of coffee he'd bought her, still trying to process the events of the past hour. Mayor Lawson leaned forward, studying her intently. "I meant what I said back there, Emma. I admire what you did for that veteran. But I also think you've been given an opportunity, a chance to do something bigger." Emma raised an eyebrow, confused. "I'm not sure what you mean, sir. I'm out of a job. I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow." The mayor's lips curved into a small smile. "That's where I think I can help. This town has a lot of veterans like Tom, people who've fallen through the cracks. They need support, and sometimes they just need someone to show them a little kindness. I'd like you to help me start a community program. Free haircuts, grooming services, and more. We could make it a regular event, something that helps lift these people up." Emma's mind spun. It sounded like a good idea. More than good, actually. But it also seemed like a huge responsibility, and she wasn't sure if she was ready for that. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Mayor, but I don't know if I'm the right person for this. I've never run a program before, and, well, I just got fired." Mayor Lawson's smile widened. "Everyone starts somewhere, Emma. Besides, I think you've already shown that you have the heart for this kind of work, and you wouldn't be doing it alone. I'd help with the funding and the organization. All you need to do is bring your skills and your spirit." Emma felt a flicker of hope she hadn't felt in years, but could she really turn this disaster into something meaningful? She glanced out the window, where the rain had finally started to let up. Maybe, just maybe, this could be her chance to make a real difference. The following week was a whirlwind for Emma. With the mayor's backing, she found herself in meetings with local community leaders, planning the logistics of their new initiative. Mayor Lawson had even managed to secure a small space in an unused community center where they could host their events. Despite the support, doubt still gnawed at her. Could she really make this work? What if she failed and let down the very people she was trying to help? But each time she faltered, the mayor was there, offering encouragement and reminding her why they were doing this. Meanwhile, the story of Emma's firing continued to spread through the town, picking up steam on social media. The hashtag number sign, "Stand with Emma," started trending locally, with people calling for a boycott of Mr. Anderson's salon. Emma couldn't believe how quickly everything was changing. One evening, as she prepared for the first event, a day of free haircuts for veterans, Tom walked into the community center wearing a tentative smile. He'd found out about the event through a local charity group. "I heard you're doing good things here, Miss Collins," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "I just wanted to say, thank you. I don't know what I'd have done without that haircut. It made me feel like a person again." Emma's eyes misted over, and she offered him a warm smile. "You don't owe me any thanks, Tom. I'm just glad you're here." As the doors opened for their first event, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of nervous anticipation. But she knew that no matter what happened, this was her chance to make a difference. The day of the first event dawned, and to Emma's surprise, people from all walks of life showed up. Not just veterans, but volunteers from the town eager to lend a hand. The community center buzzed with energy as stylists, barbers, and even a few local restaurant owners offered free meals. Emma found herself overwhelmed by the support, but she quickly threw herself into the work, offering haircuts and making sure everyone felt welcome. She moved from chair to chair, chatting with veterans and hearing their stories, each one more heartbreaking than the last. Mayor Lawson made an appearance as well, shaking hands and giving a short speech about the importance of community. Cameras from the local news station captured the scene, broadcasting it across the town. It was a stark contrast to the image of Emma being fired outside the salon just a week earlier. But the event wasn't without its challenges. Halfway through the day, a group of protesters, supporters of Mr. Anderson, arrived outside, holding signs that read, "Stop the handouts," and "Emma's not a hero." Emma's heart sank as she saw them through the window. For a moment she feared the event would be ruined, that the fragile hope they had built would be shattered. But then Tom stood up, straightening his shoulders, and walked outside to face the protesters. "Listen here," he said, his voice carrying over the crowd. "You don't know what it's like to be forgotten, to have people look at you like you're not worth the time. But this woman, she didn't do that. She treated me like I mattered. And if you can't see that, then maybe you're the ones who need to change." The protesters fell silent, and Emma watched from inside, her heart swelling with pride. But she knew that the fight wasn't over yet. Mr. Anderson still had influence in the town, and he wasn't going to back down without a fight. Mr. Anderson, furious at the public support for Emma and the impact it was having on his business, decided to take matters into his own hands. He filed a lawsuit against Emma, accusing her of defamation and claiming that her actions had caused irreparable damage to his salon's reputation. When Emma received the papers, her hands shook. She'd never been involved in legal matters before, and the thought of facing Mr. Anderson in court terrified her. But Mayor Lawson was quick to offer his support, connecting her with a lawyer who agreed to represent her pro bono. "It's just another scare tactic," the mayor said, his expression serious. "But we'll fight it, Emma. Don't let him intimidate you." The town quickly divided over the lawsuit, with some residents siding with Mr. Anderson and others standing firmly behind Emma. The case became the talk of the town, with people gathering outside the community center and the courthouse, eager to see how it would unfold. As the court date approached, Emma knew that everything was riding on this battle. She had come too far to back down now, but the fear of losing everything weighed heavily on her shoulders. Could she prove that her actions were justified, or would Mr. Anderson's influence be too powerful to overcome? On the day of the hearing, the courtroom was packed with supporters and reporters eager to witness the showdown between Emma and Mr. Anderson. As she took the stand, Emma shared her story. How she had simply wanted to help someone in need, never expecting it to turn into a public spectacle. Mr. Anderson's lawyer painted her as a troublemaker who had tried to damage a respected local business. But Emma's lawyer countered with evidence of Mr. Anderson's history of mistreatment toward employees, calling on former workers to testify. In a dramatic twist, Mayor Lawson took the stand as well, speaking passionately about the importance of compassion and the power of small acts of kindness. "What Emma did wasn't just about a haircut," he said, his voice ringing through the courtroom. "It was about restoring dignity to someone who had lost it, and that's something this town should be proud of." The judge listened to both sides, but his decision would not come until later. As Emma left the courtroom, she felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her. She knew that the outcome of this case could change everything. Certainly. Here's the continuation, with an emphasis on suspense, unexpected turns, and deepening the tension between Emma and Mr. Anderson, as well as her alliance with Mayor Lawson. The courtroom was thick with anticipation as the judge's gavel struck, signaling the end of the day's proceedings. "We will reconvene tomorrow for my ruling on this matter," he announced, his expression stern and unreadable. Emma felt a shiver run down her spine as she exited the courtroom. Outside, the air was electric with tension, reporters shouting questions and flashing cameras in her face. Mayor Lawson guided her through the crowd, his presence offering some small comfort. But inside, her nerves were a tangled knot. "It'll be all right, Emma," the mayor said, though even he seemed uncertain. "We've got a strong case. Just hold on a little longer." But as Emma climbed into her car, her hands trembled on the steering wheel. She knew the stakes were high, not just for her, but for the community that had rallied behind her. If she lost, Mr. Anderson would not only win the lawsuit, but possibly destroy the program she had fought so hard to create. That night, she barely slept, replaying every detail of the trial in her mind. What if they had missed something? What if the judge sided with Mr. Anderson? She knew she had done the right thing, but would that be enough to sway the court? As dawn broke, Emma stared out her window at the rising sun, feeling a mixture of dread and determination. Today would decide everything. But she couldn't shake the feeling that Mr. Anderson wasn't done playing dirty. Emma arrived at the courthouse the next morning, steeling herself for the day ahead. But as she walked through the crowd of supporters, she noticed a strange tension in the air, people whispering, casting furtive glances in her direction. She spotted Tom near the courthouse steps, his face drawn with concern. "What's going on?" she asked, trying to read his expression. Tom pulled her aside, lowering his voice. "Emma, I overheard something this morning. Something you need to know. One of the reporters was talking to Anderson's lawyer and they mentioned a witness. Someone they're planning to bring in last minute." Emma frowned. "What kind of witness?" Tom shook his head. "I don't know, but it didn't sound good. They were talking like it was a sure thing, like this person would destroy our case." A chill crept up Emma's spine. She glanced back toward the courthouse, her mind racing. If Anderson had found a way to bring in a surprise witness, it could turn everything against her. But who could it be? And why hadn't her lawyer been informed? She rushed inside to find her attorney, who looked equally alarmed at the news. "They haven't filed any notice about a new witness," he muttered, flipping through his notes. "But if it's true, we'll need to be ready for anything." As the clock ticked toward the judge's decision, Emma braced herself for a new threat, one that could undermine everything they had fought for. But little did she know, the worst was yet to come. The courtroom buzzed with tension as the judge took his seat, preparing to deliver his verdict. But before he could speak, Mr. Anderson's lawyer rose to his feet, a smug smile on his face. "Your Honor, with your permission, we would like to introduce a new witness, an individual who has critical information about Miss Collins' actions and motivations." Emma's heart sank as a figure stepped forward from the back of the courtroom. It was Marissa, one of her former co-workers from the salon, someone she had once considered a friend. But now Marissa wouldn't meet her eyes. "Marissa," Emma whispered, disbelief coursing through her. "What are you doing?" Marissa looked down, avoiding Emma's gaze. "I'm sorry, Emma," she said, her voice barely audible, "but I need this. I need my job back, and Anderson promised me." The judge glanced between them, his expression stern. "Very well. Proceed with the testimony." Mr. Anderson's lawyer wasted no time. He grilled Marissa, drawing out details of petty disputes Emma had had with co-workers, trying to paint her as reckless and difficult. Marissa hesitated, but under the lawyer's pressure she began to embellish, claiming that Emma's actions at the salon were part of a pattern, that she was always trying to defy authority, to undermine Mr. Anderson. Emma's hands clenched into fists beneath the table. It wasn't true, and she could see the guilt in Marissa's eyes, but the damage was being done. She felt the weight of the courtroom's stairs, the whispers that spread like wildfire. As Marissa's testimony twisted the narrative, Emma knew they were losing ground. But she also sensed that there was something more behind Marissa's sudden betrayal, something Anderson was holding over her, and she was determined to find out what it was before it was too late. After the day's session ended, Emma found Marissa outside the courthouse, pacing anxiously. Emma approached her, her frustration barely contained. "Marissa, why are you doing this? What did Anderson promise you?" Marissa flinched at the question, glancing around as if afraid of being overheard. Her voice trembled. "You don't understand, Emma. He threatened me. He knows things about my past, things I can't afford to have exposed. I didn't have a choice." Emma's anger softened, replaced by a surge of empathy. "You don't have to do this, Marissa. Whatever he's holding over you, we can find another way to fight it. But if you keep going along with his plan, you're only hurting yourself." Tears welled in Marissa's eyes, but she shook her head, backing away. "I'm sorry, Emma. I can't." Before Emma could respond, Marissa turned and fled, disappearing into the evening shadows. Emma watched her go, a sinking feeling in her chest. She knew that whatever Anderson had on Marissa, it must be serious. And if he was willing to use blackmail to win, there was no telling what else he might do. Determined to uncover Anderson's secret weapon, Emma resolved to dig deeper into his dealings. But time was running out, and with the judge's decision just days away, she knew she needed to act fast, or risk losing everything she'd fought for. That night, Emma called Mayor Lawson, filling him in on Marissa's sudden change of heart. "There's something Anderson's hiding, something he's using to control her," she said, her voice urgent. "But I don't know what it is, and I don't have much time to find out." The mayor's tone was serious. "If Anderson's breaking the law to manipulate witnesses, we need proof. I have a few contacts who might be able to help, but it won't be easy. Are you sure you want to go down this road?" Emma took a deep breath, steeling herself. "I don't see any other choice, Mr. Mayor. We need to stop him, whatever it takes." The next day, Emma met with one of the mayor's contacts, a private investigator named Lucas, who had a reputation for uncovering hidden truths. Together, they hatched a plan to gather evidence of Anderson's misconduct. Under the cover of darkness, Lucas broke into Anderson's office, searching for anything that might expose his tactics. It was a risky move, but they knew that time was running out, and they had to act before the court made its final decision. As Lucas sifted through Anderson's files, he stumbled upon a locked drawer. Inside, he found a series of documents, letters, emails, and photos that detailed Anderson's efforts to bribe officials, manipulate witnesses, and use blackmail to keep employees like Marissa under his thumb. Lucas snapped photos of everything, making sure to capture every detail. But just as he was about to leave, the office door creaked open, and a figure stepped inside. It was Anderson, his expression dark with suspicion. Lucas held his breath, crouching behind a filing cabinet, praying he wouldn't be caught. Anderson lingered for a moment, glancing around the dark office, but then his phone rang, distracting him. As he stepped back outside to take the call, Lucas seized the opportunity to escape. Lucas delivered the evidence to Emma just in time, but they knew that presenting it in court would be a high-stakes gamble. With the final hearing looming, Emma braced herself for one last showdown, one that would determine the future of her program, her reputation, and her place in the community. On the final day of the trial, the tension in the courtroom was palpable. Anderson and his lawyer seemed confident, but Emma held on to the files Lucas had obtained, knowing they might be her last chance. When it was Emma's turn to speak, she took a deep breath and laid out everything they had found. Anderson's attempts to manipulate the legal process, his threats against Marissa, and the lengths he had gone to discredit her. The courtroom erupted into murmurs, and Anderson's face twisted with fury. But Emma remained calm, handing the evidence to the judge. "This is the truth, Your Honor. I only hope it's enough to show who's really at fault here." As the judge reviewed the evidence, the entire room held its breath. The future of Emma's program and the integrity of the town rested on his decision. And though she had exposed Anderson's schemes, Emma couldn't shake the fear that justice might not prevail after all. The courtroom was silent as the judge reviewed the stack of documents Emma had submitted. Each page revealed more of Anderson's underhanded tactics, from bribery to blackmail. The expressions of those in the room shifted from doubt to disbelief as they realized the extent of the corruption. Anderson's lawyer tried to dismiss the evidence as fabricated, but the judge silenced him with a sharp look. "Enough," he said, his voice firm. He turned his gaze to Anderson, who had gone pale under the scrutiny. It appears there's more at stake here than a simple wrongful termination case. Emma could feel her heart pounding in her chest as she waited for the judge's ruling. She glanced at Marissa, who was sitting in the back, her eyes wide with regret. They both knew this moment would change everything. After a tense pause, the judge spoke. Given the evidence presented, it is clear that Mr. Anderson has engaged in unethical practices that have undermined the fairness of these proceedings. I am dismissing the case against Miss Collins and ordering a full investigation into Mr. Anderson's conduct. A wave of relief washed over Emma, and she nearly collapsed into her seat, tears welling up in her eyes. The courtroom buzzed with shocked whispers, and Anderson's face twisted with rage as he realized his plan had backfired. Just as the judge's gavel came down, sealing Anderson's fate, a commotion erupted at the back of the courtroom. Marissa stood up, her voice breaking as she apologized publicly to Emma, admitting the pressure she'd been under and the fear that had driven her to betray her friend. As the courtroom emptied, Emma approached Marissa, who stood trembling near the exit. "I'm sorry, Emma," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I never meant for things to go this far. He threatened me, and I was scared." Emma placed a comforting hand on Marissa's shoulder, seeing the genuine remorse in her eyes. "It's okay, Marissa. You did the right thing in the end, and that's what matters. We all make mistakes. It's how we learn from them that counts." Marissa broke down, sobbing in relief as Emma pulled her into a hug. It wasn't a complete healing of their friendship, but it was a start. And as they stood together, Emma felt a sense of closure she hadn't thought possible. Later that day, Mayor Lawson joined Emma outside the courthouse where reporters gathered to hear her statement. "You've done something incredible, Emma," he said with a proud smile. "You stood up for what's right, and you won. Now let's make sure this never happens again." Emma nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. She turned to the cameras, speaking not just about her victory but about the importance of community and standing up against injustice. She thanked those who had supported her and promised to continue advocating for the homeless and veterans in the town. Just as the cameras flashed and the reporters jotted down notes, Anderson was led out of the courthouse in handcuffs, his expression one of defeat. The sight sent a wave of satisfaction through the crowd. Justice, at long last, had been served. In the weeks that followed, the town rallied behind Emma's efforts to expand the free services program for veterans. Donations poured in, and a new community center was opened in honor of those who had served the country. Emma found herself busier than ever, but it was a good kind of busy, the kind that filled her with pride and a sense of fulfillment. Mayor Lawson continued to support the initiative, using his influence to secure grants and resources that would sustain the program long-term. Together, they helped dozens of veterans find housing, access health care, and regain a sense of belonging. Emma and Marissa continued to work together, rebuilding their friendship and using their experience to educate others about the dangers of manipulation and the importance of integrity. Marissa even volunteered to help at the community center, finding a new purpose in assisting those who had been through struggles similar to her own. One sunny afternoon, Emma walked through the newly renovated community center, watching as veterans and their families gathered for a celebration. Laughter and conversation filled the air, and Emma couldn't help but smile. She had fought so hard to protect this place, and now it was thriving. Mayor Lawson joined her, offering her a glass of lemonade. "You know, Emma, when you gave that free haircut to that veteran, you probably didn't realize just how much would change because of it." Emma laughed softly, raising her glass. "No, I didn't. But sometimes the smallest acts have the biggest impact. I'm just glad we were able to make a difference." They clinked their glasses together, watching as the community came together, stronger than ever before. The community center, standing as a symbol of resilience and hope, became a beacon for those who believed in the power of kindness and second chances. And as the sun set over the town, Emma felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that she had not only defended her honor, but had also created something lasting, a legacy of compassion and justice that would endure for years to come. The story of Emma's fight for justice against a corrupt boss is a powerful reminder that sometimes standing up for what is right comes with risks, but those risks can lead to rewards far greater than one might expect. Emma's journey from being unjustly fired to becoming a community leader showcases the strength of resilience, the importance of integrity, and the transformative power of compassion. In the end, her determination to do what was right not only saved her program, but also brought a fractured community together, proving that even in the face of adversity, hope and kindness can prevail. If Emma's story inspired you to believe in the power of standing up for what's right, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories of courage and resilience. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can change the world. Drop a comment below and tell us about a time when doing the right thing made a difference in your life. And make sure to hit the asterisk notification bell so you never miss another inspiring story. Remember, one person's courage can create a ripple that touches countless lives. Let's keep spreading hope, one story at a time.